the show. Um, Here we are. Let me get the old YouTube stream. Oh yeah, looks like we are streaming on YouTube as well. So we are live. It's Dan and Darcy tonight. Jimmy's busy. We can go ahead and pimp his gig coming up. Unfortunately, I'm not a very good friend, and so I'm gonna have to just give you very partial information on this. But April 27th in the evening,
In the
somewhere
evening
somewhere north of me,
at a
there's gonna
place.
be a band playing. Yeah. And I'm friends with most of the band and the sound engineer, so you guys should go if you want to know. To our vast audience out there, if you want to know what it is, what's going on with that, text me.
Is Jimmy the sound engineer for the band? I didn't even know this.
Yeah,
Is that his job as a sound engineer?
yeah,
Okay.
yep. So
Well,
they had a gig this winter, and it was a lot of fun. And so this is their second time of this band. So this is Stan Fields has been playing for his entire life, and he was a named uh member in the group Butler Fields. Oh yeah.
okay.
Um, and they toured the Midwest back in the day for years. That's how they made their living. So
Like in
they,
the 90s or before the 90s?
no, like the 70s.
70s. Okay. So we're talking
Um,
Kansas era.
yeah,
Okay.
yes. Um, oh, dude, just watching you draw made me think of a video I saw earlier this week of a guy drawing his bow, and it looked so awkward. It was unfortunate.
Is mine
But
pretty
anyway,
awkward
yeah.
looking?
So,
I can't really tell.
no, no, yours looked way more natural than this guy. Anyway, yeah. So this is a new era. It's not Butler Fields anymore. And back then, and when I've seen them play before as Butler Fields, they do some reunion shows every now and again. They played a
Hmm.
ton of covers, but over COVID, Stan ended up writing a massive amount of music. And so he wanted to get a band going again and play original songs. So that's what they're doing. They do a few covers. They're pretty fun though. I'll find out more information and
Is it
let you know.
is it folk? Is it kind of folky rock music, or do you know now?
Yeah, it's just classic rock.
Classic rock.
Hmm.
Can you write a new classic rock song?
I mean, classic rock is a
Would it be
genre.
classic?
It's a genre,
So you can.
an era. Yeah. I mean, it might not technically be called classic rock, but if you think of classic rock, you think of a style, right?
Right. Sure. Yeah.
So that's the style.
Gotcha.
Um, all right. So there's that. Had a little weather in the
Well,
area
maybe I
today.
should have. Can you hear the weather trying to pull my barn door off?
No, getting pretty windy.
Oh, it's yeah. Like this door right here is like occasionally, but it might be cutting that out.
Yeah, I could
I
hear it
don't
when
know.
you just did that, but I don't hear anything beyond that.
Yeah, we worked in the super windy weather today, all day, and it just beat us up, and we didn't get hardly anything done, and got rained on multiple times. And then we threw our tools in the garage so they wouldn't get rained on anymore. And the homeowner came home and ran over my Makita 36-volt skill saw.
Wait, what?
So that was nice. Yeah, when the homeowner got
came
home
and ran over it.
Yeah, because I threw it inside the garage door because of the weather. Yeah, and so I'm bummed that he did it, and I'm also bummed that I kind of had to do with it, because I had moved all of my stuff because he was coming home from Phoenix.
Mm-hmm.
But his wife said charge it to the job. So I'm debating whether to order a deck, charge it to the job, or just to go pick up another saw and charge that to the job.
Yeah.
Because I kind of need it tomorrow.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm putting every arrow in the same target just to see how decent of a group I can do over the course of like 12 arrows. I might have some broken arrows downrange right now. I don't know.
That's okay.
Feeling pretty good about this group. I'll show it to you in a minute. Oh man, I am definitely going to have the broken arrow in there. It's kind of worth it though sometimes. When you start feeling it, it's like, I'm going to just keep drilling at this thing.
I was thinking last week after we did this and you were shooting most of the time, maybe the whole time.
I think I was shooting the whole time last week.
That if we had an actual like archery themed podcast, it could be called Stay Tuned.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
Okay. So live, I shot every shot that I shot. Every shot that I shot live. So there's no, what do you call that? No gimmicks here.
Oh yeah. Okay. Nothing up your sleeve. All that.
Of course, I don't know how to turn the camera around now for some reason. That's weird. I think once you went live, I lost the ability to turn the camera around. Is that possible?
I don't know. Maybe.
Well, here's the thing. I can't get down low enough. Okay, here we go. There's that arrow, but that one had only 2 vanes on it, so I kind of purposely did that. All right. It's not bad for 25 yards.
Nope.
Let's see if I have any broken arrows. Okay, so what was your first subject for the night, Darcy?
All right.
You had something.
Okay, yeah, sure.
I may just stop shooting.
Okay. First thing that I was thinking about was kind of a continuation from last week. Last week we were talking about the art of troubleshooting, and that it's kind of more than, I don't know, there's something to it. And I keep saying the art of, maybe a better way to say it would be the practice of. I don't know. Do you agree with that type of? That's probably better.
Yeah, but I think the art is an apt description of it, because there's different ways to get to the same conclusion, and knowing which formula to use is the art, and using the correct formula is the like science or the practice. Man, look at those guys. Like, I didn't break a single arrow in all of that.
Nice.
Tell you one way that
what?
One way that I stopped damaging arrows was I switched from using these really, really pointy field tips. Those really pointy field tips will go down range and they will cut into a vein that's not flat, you know, and gank it up. Whereas these soft ones, they don't do that.
Yep.
So there's that. Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
All right. This is just another thing that I think about sometimes, and it is the art or the practice of seeing things. So it's going to be similar to finding, but here's what this is normally when I think about this. It's when I'm driving down the road, and I'll use my kids for an example, because that's what I'll do. And I think that they actually are getting better at this. And every once in a while, in fact, just the other day, I got a little misty because we were driving down the road and Evabel saw a deer before I saw it. Or no, it was a turkey.
Yeah.
I think it was a turkey. But just that, like, that's one of the things. That's one of the main times that I think about it. Is when I'm driving down the road and I see wildlife. And there have been plenty of years of my life where there's not a chance that anyone else in the vehicle saw or is going to see it.
Before you, or at all.
Or at all.
Right. When you say got a little misty, like you kind of teared up because you're like, I've trained her well.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well,
well, one thing that I would say is that now I have to be careful because I'm not trying to like throw anybody under the bus, but there are a lot of people who are not curious. The reason they don't see things is because they're not looking for anything.
Right. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The only thing that there's a certain type of thought process that a person is in, and again, like I said, not trying to like throw anybody specifically under the bus, but like they're not actually enjoying being observant and being curious about what is out there. They're just completely in either defensive or offensive driving mode, or they're thinking about whatever else. They're not multitasking in that way, just like seeing what there is to observe.
Sure. Yep.
One thing with the deer is, obviously with deer and turkey, you're a hunter,
Mm-hmm.
so you kind of are always looking for sign. Cat, leave it alone. It's like bing, 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 bing. It's like rubbing against the tripod.
Nice.
Hey, if I sit down, she wants attention. If
Yeah.
I stand up, she leaves me alone. I don't know. You're a pretty cat. This is a pretty cat, but I don't. Oh my gosh, go away. No. So I don't know. Does that make sense? Was that?
Yes, I think that's exactly. I think that's a good observation, Dan. Yeah. So
it does go too far.
What?
The observation thing does go too far because my kids are still. I have a 20-year-old down to a 12-year-old, and when they ride together, they'll still play that game where they're looking for like a slug bug or a banana. Have your kids learned this game yet? Don't tell them about it.
Yeah.
They're looking for yellow vehicles.
Okay.
Bananas. And they're calling them out and they're winning points by being the first to see yellow vehicles. And then they have arguments about what counts as a yellow vehicle. Like, does a Ryder truck count as a yellow vehicle? Like when you drive by a parking lot with a fleet of Ryder trucks in it, does that count or not count? Does a line of school buses count? Like, can you just count it once? Like all these, pass the time while driving, make some observations, and then argue about who's winning. Just go away, go to sleep. This cat, I'm starting to become convinced, by the way, Darcy, that this cat, see his little tail?
Yep.
It wags it like a dog.
Uh-huh.
It growls. It growls at people when they walk in the door.
Okay.
I think that this cat was raised by dogs.
Maybe.
If you go out in the yard and run, this cat runs with you.
That's
How many
funny.
cats do that? Do your cats do that? Do they like run up next to you like, oh, we're running? Are we running? Like a dog will do?
We had one cat when I was growing up that would do that. My mom loved that cat. It would go on walks with her every day. She'd head out and that cat would stick with her the entire time. She could walk 2, 3, 4 miles and that cat would be right with her.
Just walk with her.
Yeah.
Like that's a pack, like that's a, pack, not a herd animal. That's like a pack animal thing to do, like a dog would do.
Yeah.
This cat does that. It growls at people when they walk in the door. Like, yeah, I growled. And it runs with you in the yard.
That's pretty
You're a
fun.
good cat, though. Yeah. So I kind of wish Jimmy was on because I'd ask the sound engineer about what I'm getting ready to do.
Okay.
So I'll admit I don't remember what we talked about last week on podcast versus not. Did we talk about church music on podcast?
We did, yes.
Well, I think the next day I ended up at a track meet and talked to one of the individuals who's kind of like a leader in our church. I'm trying to get rid of myself here so that I can see you.
Okay.
And he was like, oh, I'm definitely going to bring up the fact that you play guitar and sing at the next leader meeting, deacon meeting, because some of us would really like to contemporaryize our worship service. But we've never had anybody who could play guitar or wanted to take over it.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I'm not saying I want to take over it, but I'm saying that I'm available. And I think that I said last week that one of the things that has not been appealing to me to get involved in music is the fact that the pastor will like pepper his sermon and his whole presentation with music.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, and I just told him straight up, I was like, I'm not really interested in like getting up 4 times during the service and walking up and doing music. If I was gonna do it one Sunday or something, cat, we would really, in my opinion, we would have to reorganize it to where it's just one time up at the beginning and maybe one time at the end. But
yeah,
like for a song at the end, but mainly one sitting, right? And he's like, oh, I totally agree. It would be very difficult, especially if you're trying to get more than one person involved. We just make kind of a weirdness.
Mm-hmm.
It only works because the pastor kind of leads the singing and everything right now. I know. Can't say this thing. So anyway, he said next time we have a deacon meeting, I'll bring it up. We'll see. So keep in mind, these people have never heard me sing, other than as part of the congregation. So Sunday, they announced they're having a deacon meeting after church. I'm like, I bet he brings it up.
Yeah.
Sunday night, he called me and he said, I brought it up to the pastor, and this is a little scary, actually. And the pastor was like, really? Well, that same day that you were talking to him, our pianist quit because she's like 70 something, and she's really not in good health. And she's like, it's just too much to do the music on Sunday. She's not leaving. She just doesn't want to. She doesn't want to be the pianist anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And so he was like, so we talked about rearranging the service, and we'd like you to start next month.
All right.
And I said, so start, yeah, like if you could be ready, like maybe next month, you just pick the week. And I don't even know, to be honest with you, after the conversation, in retrospect, I'm not sure if he meant like do it one Sunday next month. But when he said the pianist quit, I think he meant like start next month. Like you're the guy next month. I'm not 100% sure if it's that or, you know, which one of those it is, but I have this feeling that it's the second one.
Yeah.
And then I said, so what music is there, like, what music are we talking about? Because I had told him, like, I know some hymns you can play with the guitar and sing to. Some of them, there's just too many chord changes to lead them with a rhythm instrument, in my opinion, at least at my skill level. And I said, so, like, does there need to be some hymns, or, like, what's the deal? Because I guess the back story is that before Derry, the pastor that's there now, came, the pastor that was there had been there for a long time. Like, maybe the guy I'm talking to that's my age, or maybe mid-30s, maybe his whole life up till that time. And I'm guessing, based on the format and everything, that it was hymns, all hymns.
Yeah.
But he said, Jesse, the guy I'm talking to, said, if you know a hymn, you could throw a hymn in. But I think that they're not, I think they're not like real picky at this point, because they don't have, they're stuck with me because they don't have a lot of options, I guess, maybe. And they don't even know what they're getting yet.
No.
So.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know that I was like thinking next month I would be doing all the worship at this church. I was thinking like maybe every Sunday for a few months I would like do a song.
Yeah, per our conversation, you were not thinking next month you were going to start being the main guy.
Right. I was not thinking that. But I was thinking like ease into it, like maybe do a song every week to open the service up, and then in a few months we would have heard a number of songs that I could lead, and then if everybody's like cool with it, I could like start doing more maybe. But I guess it's not going to be like that. I guess it's going to be like the pastor getting up and being like, okay, look, here's the deal. We've never heard this guy sing or play, but we don't have a lot of options. So everybody's going to just have to be happy with this.
What's the starting thing that like you quit cold turkey? What do you start? Like, what's the cold turkey version of getting going?
For me? Oh, wait, what do you mean?
I said when you quit, you quit cold turkey. I said, what's the other way? Like when you start as abruptly as cold turkey is quitting?
Boy, I don't know. Does it look like Jimmy's getting on?
He's
I thought I just saw Jimmy flash across there.
what? Oh
I
yeah,
thought I just saw Jimmy's name pop up.
he just texted.
Oh, okay.
Ah,
I don't know what the starting version of cold turkey is.
me either.
But the thing is, like, I've been at a number of small churches where they didn't have anybody to like lead worship, and there's something really advantageous to having someone lead worship with an instrument, even if they're not very good, over singing to a track on a recording. Like, it just feels unnatural to have a whole bunch of people sing a song to a CD or an MP3. Would you agree with that? Have you ever even been part of something like that?
Dude. So, I went to I think that it was called the spring, what did they call it? The spring musical or spring concert for my kid's school tonight.
Mm-hmm.
And if Jimmy would jump on here, he went to the Christmas one and he would be able to testify as well. But that school, that's their go-to. Like, the Christmas musical was the kids up on the platform singing ish along with a YouTube video that was being projected on the back screen, like, with, so that was how they had their PowerPoint. They played a
Mm-hmm.
YouTube video with the words and the song. And I'm not talking like a track. I'm talking like they played the radio version of
The
the
YouTube
song.
video.
And
Mm-hmm.
so these kids, there's microphones up there, but you can't hear not one of those kids singing. You can hear
Right.
a YouTube video. And then also, when they weren't quick enough, the ad after the YouTube video before the next one.
Yeah. What about
And
when it actually interrupts it?
it
I
didn't
saw
do
that happen.
that. I don't think it did that. So then tonight it was the same thing. It was these kids up there, and this is their music. Like, they're getting a grade for this performance, and they didn't sing. I mean, they kind of did, but you couldn't hear them. They like stood
Right.
up there and did actions,
Mm-hmm.
because there was just a song playing. I mean, there was even there was even a kid playing the drums, sort of, along with the music.
For the performance.
But he was 90%, 99% just tapping the kick pretty close to the
Mm-hmm.
rhythm. And it was not of a quality kick.
Yeah.
So yeah, I have a negative opinion
No,
about
well, we
canned
we
music.
used to do it. We used to do it at Pete's church. Back 20 years ago, when we first got married. We were there for about 6 months. I was a youth pastor, and I barely played guitar at the time. So I was in no position to like volunteer to lead worship with a guitar at the time. I'm barely play now, but as you get older, you start to be less self-conscious about your mistakes on stage, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the thing that was really crazy to me was like, I kind of understand if a person like me who's a volunteer only has 20 or 30 songs that they really like to do and are good at leading, right? I get that. What I don't get is somebody who is in charge of picking tracks still only picking from 20 songs. Like, there's no constraint on your skill level for doing a new song at all. Like, you're already, do you know what I'm saying?
Sorry, I'm a little bit distracted. You're saying on a track, or if you're picking tracks?
So, like, if I pick songs, I'm going to pick songs that I am comfortable leading
Right.
with my skill level. My skill level and my style. And, like, I'll give you one example. I like the song, I don't even know what it's called, Agnus Dei.
Yeah. Hallelujah.
But I cannot play it. Hallelujah. I can't play it.
Oh.
And I know you're probably thinking, like, how can you not play it? The rhythm of that song with the singing on that song does not, I don't get it.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know what the rhythm is, because I want to play, I must be playing in the wrong time. I always end up playing too big of pauses between the words.
So I'm pretty certain that song is it's multiple time signatures. Like, it switches back and forth from
like 2-2 or something. What is it? I don't know.
Yeah, I think
Maybe
it
our
switches
sound engineer would know.
from like 4/8 to 2/4 over and over and over. I'm not 100%
Okay,
sure.
well, that makes sense. Because I always, like, if I just sit there and play it on guitar by myself, I can play it and enjoy it. But if I play it with other people, they say I'm doing it wrong. Like, I'm leaving, like, they're wanting to move into the next lyric, and I'm holding out like two measures, like one measure too long between various lyrics. So I don't play it because it's not worth it to me to try to bumble my way through it. But when you're just picking click tracks, you like the song, just pick it.
Mm-hmm.
You might as well have a repertoire of 50 songs or more if you're just picking click tracks. Or not click tracks, but, if you're just playing YouTube videos. So, well, Jimmy, you're here now. Are you live? I can't hear you.
Jimmy, you got any sound?
I'm here. I am having a really hard time hearing just about everything Dan is saying.
Yeah, I don't know why that is. You just have to guess a lot.
Just guess. What would Dan be?
He's petting a cat. It kind of reminds me of
WWDS.
Austin Powers a little bit.
Yeah, petting the cat.
$1 million.
Speaking of cats, you guys, I believe, know the saga with my shared custody of one of our cats.
Yes.
Mhm.
I was just now replying to my neighbor who just texted me and said that old Sonny, who's my half cat, I guess, I don't know, has been seeming out of sorts today. Just been a little more sleepy and a little more snuggly than normal. And so they didn't know if something's wrong with him. Um, and normally they've kicked him out of the house by now, but just kind of they really enjoy his company a whole bunch. And also he seemed like he was having a bad day. So he was just going to let me know that. He didn't know if we use a vet anywhere, and he doesn't mean to pry, but he'd be happy to help out a little bit if he could, if we need to take him to the vet.
So what vet
I'm
did you take him
surprised
to?
he didn't.
I don't. He just texted me that. I just replied just
Oh,
now. I said, "Oh,
I
thanks for
know.
letting me know. We use a vet in Kearney. I'll check him out."
Oh, fun.
Boy, wouldn't that be a bummer
Why are
for
you holding
them
so
if
still?
old Sonny like kicked the bucket? I mean, we don't
Probably
ever see him
something.
anymore.
Yeah, it's probably something they're doing, not something that you're doing.
Yeah, they said he wasn't very hungry today either. So,
I just
yeah.
don't
Big-
understand why they think it's okay to keep your cat.
Oh, I don't know. I guess I wasn't very assertive, and I didn't tell him that it wasn't okay. So, since I didn't straight up tell him you can't have our cat, they must feel like it's all right if they have our cat.
It's so weird to me.
It's pretty funny to me.
Yeah,
How was band practice?
it was long.
Yeah.
So they went over all of the songs in order of the show they want to do, or the show they're planning to do.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a long time.
You said
But I think it
they.
was
Don't you mean we?
no, I mean them.
Are you not? Darcy said that you're part of the band, Jimmy. Like you're going to be a named member of the band whenever it's
Yeah,
finished.
they include me. I don't, but they do.
Why don't you?
Because I'm a sound guy. I'm not a band member. I mean, I'm fine with them
But there's lots
including
of
me.
band. There's lots of bands where the sound guy is a member of the band. Like
Really?
um.
Yeah, find one.
hmm. What'd you say the name of the band was?
I'm not gonna tell you.
Oh yeah, that band, Jimmy and the Beard. That band,
Uh huh. Hmm.
right?
No, I think Stan just he wants me to feel like I'm part of it, and that's fine. Like I'm not. I'm okay with it. I just don't feel like I'm part of it.
You're like, I'd rather be paid more, Stan, and be not part of the band.
Yeah, there's no money involved. Not that
Yeah.
I've seen anyway. If they're making money, they ain't sending it my way.
Does this gig come with a sound equipment, or are they needing equipment
No,
again?
this one, I guess the equipment is part of the gig, so we don't need to set up your stuff.
Okay.
Nice.
Hey, speaking of equipment for my gig that's evidently happening next month, I was thinking about, and does this sound engineer Jimmy, if you can hear me, I was considering getting like a 60-watt acoustic amp for my acoustic guitar and having them just set a mic in front of the amp like you would typically do with an electric so that I could get the sound how I want it and then they could adjust volume. Is that a legitimate way to work with somebody that you don't work with very often?
What's the setting? Like, where are you playing?
It's just church.
Oh, at church?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it can be done that way. I mean, we have guys at our church to do that.
Does that work
It
well?
works. It yes and no. It comes out all right. It's just the sound guy has less control over the overall volume. So if I need to, turn it down some, but the amp's up loud enough you can still hear it, and then you can't do anything about it. That's not always good.
But if you were the only person playing guitar
The only guitar in the room,
and
yeah.
the
The
only
only
instrument in
instrument.
the room.
Oh, the only instrument. Are you doing a one-man band
Mm-hmm.
thing?
Mm-hmm.
Then I
Yeah.
think it would be fine. I think it would be perfectly fine in that scenario. And then
And typically would
they can just hit a mic up in front
go
of it
ahead.
and then push it into the house as much as they want it.
And you typically can run the amp pretty quiet in that case, right?
You could, depending on their setup, but yeah, you should be able to run it pretty quiet.
Yeah. Because I'm like listening to my guitar and thinking like this isn't gonna fill this space very much without a little bit of like reverb or something. And I could even potentially do what?
I mean, like our sound system has reverb built into the sound console, so you can just add that into whatever, the guitar, the drums, the vocals, whatever you need,
Yeah.
through the sound system.
Yeah. I don't know how much. I mean, they currently don't do anything like that I'm aware of. They basically turn house sound on and up and down, and like the guy who sings has like a Carmen little mic beside his face, like stuck to his face. He doesn't even use a mic.
Are you gonna do that?
Or what I would think of as, no, I'm not going to do that. Negative. I honestly, I need to be able to move my face away from the mic when I sing. Like, I need to be able to, because like the amount of decibels that I can put out at like an octave lower than my ideal range is not very high. So I need to be able to like back off whenever the song gets to like higher stuff. I think, anyway. Especially
Are
if
you
I
going
don't
to
have
use
a sound guy that can
the
like.
same mic that you're using tonight?
No. Yeah, this. No, not going to do that. Is it that bad? It's that bad.
No, I think you'll be fine. Just plug your guitar into your amp, let them put a mic in front of the amp, adjust the volume. You'll be good to go.
And I guess the other thought that I had was then I could actually practice with sound, like with amplification, which normally I can't do anything like that at home.
Yep.
So.
When
Of
are
course,
you
I don't
doing
have
this
a good
gig?
mic, so I need a. Well, like I was telling Darcy before you jumped on, I suggested to one of the leaders at the church that I could maybe help out with music on Tuesday or Wednesday, and by Sunday night, I might be in charge of music as of
Oh,
next
you're the
month.
new music guy?
Possibly.
Cool.
They haven't heard me sing or play, but they are thinking that I would be a great music guy.
No auditions needed.
They're like, willing? That's our favorite qualification.
Our favorite thing is that you said you can play guitar.
So you'll be
No,
leading.
I've done that occasionally.
So last Tuesday when you were talking, I jumped on YouTube and watched you for a minute. And that's what you were talking about.
Was I talking?
Potentially.
I talked about that quite a bit because I was trying to decide whether to even bring it up. And now I wonder if I should have brought it up or not.
Too late.
You can always leave the church.
Yeah, that's true. Well, and I don't remember what all I said about it on the podcast last week. They could always watch the podcast and be like, nah, he's out. He's a jerk.
Yeah.
So Darcy, you weren't, I don't know if you were going to bring this subject up, but that video you sent me today, did you also send that to Jimmy? Has Jimmy been initiated?
Jimmy sent it to me.
Oh, okay.
What video?
Give us your thoughts on that, Jimmy.
On what video?
The Spirit of Jezebel.
Oh, that video. I don't know, man. Did you see that? I guess sometime after what that all went down, those two dudes got back together and talked about it.
Yeah, I watched that though. Did you watch that video?
I did.
I mean, so here's the thing. Maybe I'm just overly skeptical, but when I was watching that, it for sure seems to me like old Pastor John said to Pastor Mark, here's the deal, buddy. Good friend that we've been friends for 40 years. We're going to go back out on that stage. And I don't care if you don't say anything at all. But I'm going to tell him you apologize to me. And if you're not good with this, I was recording that time that we were sitting in your living room with you and your wife crying. And that might just make it out onto the internet.
Yeah, I don't
know about that.
No, I'm just saying that is what it felt like when you're watching, dude, like one guy doing all the talking and Mark sitting there sort of nodding sometimes and like interjecting a random thing. Yes.
Almost can't hear him.
I don't think that this is quite all right.
Yeah. But is it true or not that he did let him go ahead and talk about the subject that he was going to talk about?
Well, that is also unclear because it said that they stood up next to each other and gave their sermon. So I don't know if that meant like at the church or if that was if Mark got back up at the conference. Do you know, Jimmy?
I don't know. I didn't hear that part of it.
It's all like tricky. It's all worded weird.
Did you watch the video? Did you guys watch the video of the guy sliding down the pole and ripping his shirt off?
No.
No.
I saw a clip of it.
I've seen him before.
It,
I think I saw him on America's Got Talent, maybe.
Oh, I thought you were going to say you saw him when you were in Vegas, went to his show.
Darcy threw him a 20.
Folded
But
it in
it's
the
not
shape of a
appropriate for
sword.
church. Yeah. A sword, was it a sword?
I folded the 20 in the shape of a sword.
It was a sword, though, right?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's a weird deal. That whole thing was just super weird, and I don't.
Here's what you. So Darcy, here's what you don't know yet that I showed it to Jamie while we were working at lunchtime, or when I got back to lunch, and he's like, "Oh, I've seen this conference before. Where have I seen this before?" He's like, "Oh yeah, that church that I was visiting last year was pushing going to this conference like really, really hard."
Okay.
They were all about, some church in Blue Springs was all about going to this conference. And they were trying to get every man in their church to go to that conference. And Jamie, who's been saved for like a year at most, looked into it and was like, I don't think so.
Jamie said he wanted.
That doesn't look like. No. Pole dancer or not, Jamie was like, no way. That's not, I don't need to know. Like,
Well,
I mean,
I told
he
you.
just didn't even think that seemed helpful.
He sent me that link. Or no, you said, did you hear, or something like that? Did you see that Mark Driscoll got kicked out of a men's conference this weekend? And I replied back immediately, no, but I wish I had been there. And then I called him right after I watched the video, and I said, I guess what I should say is, I don't necessarily wish I had been there. That does not look like the type of place that I'm going to enjoy. But I'm glad someone videoed it so I could see it.
It's crazy. It's right down the road, too.
Yeah, that is pretty funny.
Do you think, Jimmy, you think Driscoll was out of line? Do you think that was an appropriate setup for a conference as a professional sound engineer and guy who works closely with churches on conferences?
Well, I didn't hear everything you said, but I think I told Darcy this earlier. I was like, I can't believe Mark was even speaking at a place like that, like a conference like that. Like, they're known for doing their big shows and having monster trucks and all kinds of weird stuff to try to, get people in there to see their whatever
Gimmicks.
Yeah, and I'm kind of surprised that he even agreed to go.
Yeah.
It's like church camp for grown man.
I went to a conference a couple of years back, 4 or 5 years ago, that was it was supposed to be like a charismatic movement meets like Bible teaching movement. And it was supposed to be like this mix of both. And all the whole thing turned out to be was like charismatics trying to convince people who teach the Bible that they don't have enough like craziness going on in the churches. And after that, I was like, I don't know if I'd ever go back to one that was like run by crazy people. No offense, whoever the church was, but things get goofy real fast at church.
Yeah, and that church down there is very large, multi-campus, whatever church. I think that pastor guy thinks he's pretty cool.
Yep. Seemed like it.
You getting that dialed in there, Dan?
Oh yeah, every day.
Every day. Is that conditioning or calibration?
Whoa, I don't know what just happened here.
Oh.
That arrow went like that all the way down. That might have been broken. That was weird. That would
Are you
be
in your
conditioning.
shop or are you in the basement?
No, I'm in my shop. In the basement, I only have 10 yards. Here, I have 25. So, you know. So I'll have to walk down there. You won't hear me for a while. Sorry, cat.
Don't shoot the cat.
Hey, cat, get under there. But
What did you think of all that stuff, Dan?
you see that cat?
Yeah.
I just set the bow on it, and it just sat there. I think that all that type of stuff is nonsense. Like, I think that it's stupid that you even have to, like, why? What is the point of a tank or a monster truck at a men's Christian conference? I don't get it.
It doesn't make any sense.
Like, it doesn't. What's the appeal? Like, what is?
I mean, I like
I don't
monster
understand.
trucks, but I don't need to go see one.
This, I mean, I hate to just be like the guy that's like a total dick about the church, but like, what's the deal with the church doing everything that everybody else does, only not doing it as good? Like, it's like when you go to the Sprint Center for the monster truck rally, and then you look up on YouTube and there's these monster truck rallies where they're like in these enormous arenas. And they're like, oh, we got like the totally neutered version of that piece of entertainment.
Yeah.
The church is like 100 times worse about that.
Yeah.
It's just dumb. Like, it's part of the reason why, like, I don't want to label events that I do with men as like church events, because like we want to go shoot and we want to go fish and we want to go do these things that men want to do, but I don't want to pretend like it's uber spiritual to do those things. Like, it's not specifically. Like, it's masculine, but it's not like a replacement for Christianity or something. I don't know. I'm just ragging on it. Sorry, I'm going to go get my arrows. You guys go ahead and tell me I'm wrong.
You're wrong. You're out of line, Dan.
You're out of line, Dan!
Oh, man. Yeah.
It kind of would have been fun to have been there during all of that.
Yeah, it would have.
To kind of to see it firsthand. But I'm kind of glad I wasn't.
But and then then do you walk out when all that goes down, and then you miss the part where they come back out, and so you still don't know what happened?
Right.
Weird.
Yeah, I read some guy who was there said that as soon as all that went down, then the band came up and started playing some songs, but nobody was really getting into it.
Wait. Okay, wait. You said you knew a guy that was there?
No, I read
read
online somewhere from a guy that was there.
Okay.
I don't know anyone that was there. Well, I guess I don't know that I don't know anyone. Maybe someone I know was there, but I haven't spoke with them about it.
Well, your friend Josh was there. Wonder what he thinks of it.
Josh?
Yeah. Aren't you the one that knows our senator or our congressman guy,
Oh,
Josh?
I don't know. I don't know the senator.
What
You
is he,
talked to-
Darcy?
You're talking about
He's all-
Josh Hawley?
Hawley, Josh Hawley.
I don't think he's
Yeah.
a senator anymore.
Oh, okay.
Is he?
And I don't know him.
Okay.
I don't.
Somebody else I know knows it. Well, what is he now? Why does he still get airtime on stuff? Or is he just old
Former
old
senator.
Twitter-driven? Former senator?
Isn't he?
I don't know. I don't keep up
Okay.
with it.
Okay, so guys,
I don't even know who
So
the
here's-
president of
here's
the
a-
United States is.
Neither does he.
does anybody now are we talking legitimate president, or are we talking about the recognized president? What are we talking about?
I don't
Oh,
think
man.
anyone knows right now.
I think YouTube just cut us off.
Are we talking, like, is there any requirement that the president be sentient? I don't think there is.
No.
I don't know if there is.
Okay.
There are provisions if he's not.
But people still have to do something about it, right? It's not automatic.
Right.
Yeah. Remember they were trying to get that thing passed where, like, if the president, now when the previous president was president, if he was ruled incompetent by a doctor, that he would be able to be removed. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
And it was like, what doctor? Whose doctor? That just any doctor.
Well,
yeah, that's great. We're gonna approve that.
Yeah. That's a good idea.
Okay. So you guys, I'm not asking you guys to throw since we were talking about shenanigans at church. I'm not asking you guys. I know you guys love your church, but are you willing to give your honest opinion of something if I ask and your church has something like this? Does that make sense? It has a gimmick. Your church has a gimmick. And are you willing to give your honest opinion about the gimmick?
Okay, what is
Sure.
it?
Okay. Your church has a slide.
Has a slide? Yeah, it does.
Yeah. Yeah. And to be honest, I personally, I have more than mixed. Like if the dial is like right here in the middle is like it's something like don't care, and like over here is I'm all for it, and over here is I'm all against it. My dial is like this on stuff like that. And the only reason that it's like this is because, like, if you said, like, our church has a gymnasium with a basketball goal, I'm like, don't care. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then there's, like, for some reason, there's certain types of gimmicks that I'm like, You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
No, yeah. No, I understand what you're saying. Yeah. I don't really have much of an opinion about the slide. Like, the kids love it. Some of the adults love it.
Yeah.
Provides a little bit of entertainment for the kids while they're waiting for their parents to pick them up.
Yeah.
Is it
I just don't.
necessary?
I
Probably
don't know
not.
how. Yeah, but like we went to a church that had like a full service, basically Starbucks, like breakfast sandwiches and all, and like a almost like a little diner in the foyer.
Hmm.
And I think I bought a sandwich or a breakfast burrito from the diner one time, and it was like it wasn't like they certainly were not making a killing off of this little restaurant thing. There was something to the fact that it was providing a service for the parishioners, but like I guess my mind always goes to is like so much of what we give to is actually benefiting us personally. And like, I don't know if that's really the point of giving, of your donations. But then I also see the point like, okay, so you're going to like send every dime that you bring in down the river, and you're going to live in like, your church is going to be a shack so that somebody else's church can be nice and people will come to it. I just have mixed feelings about it. We lost Darcy when I started talking about your church, Jimmy. Is that my fault?
I'm still here.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, the best thing to do is just to not go to church at all, and you don't have to worry about any of that stuff.
That you have a point there. You do have a point there. Yeah.
I know people that
I mean,
that have decided that's what they're going to do.
mm-hmm. I mean, that's kind of like house church people. They have almost no expenses in house church setups, and so when they give, the giving goes to some other ministry or something like that. Well, like there's kind of like no end to the well, your ministry might make these decisions, and then the ministry you give to might make totally different decisions about what they do with the resources.
If you start your own church in your house and then you give to yourself or to your church that's in your house,
Mm-hmm.
then you can use those expenses to buy sandwiches and coffee and slides.
Well, that's true. And slides, yeah, and slides.
Little playground for the kids.
That's a good point.
Maybe a
There
stripper
was
pole.
maybe a stripper pole for the kids, for the youngins.
Yeah, for anyone.
Are you really there, Darcy? It looks like you're not there.
He's been in the
So-
bathroom for the last 10 minutes.
With the door open?
No, he shut the door.
Well, the door's open now, in my view.
Yeah, he's headed this way.
Oh, he really is in the bathroom.
I had to go. Yeah.
You don't want to hold that in too long.
What's your feelings on it, Darcy?
On the slide?
Yeah, on things not specifically the slide, but like the things like this slide.
I don't know. I think it's gonna have to be a pretty in your face thing for me to have much of an opinion about it. Like, I mean, I think that the argument could potentially be made that like the slide in our church is as much a service to the parishioners as your little cafe that you referenced, because I mean, parents love that their kids can just like hang out with their friends and have fun. And so what ends up happening is you have a congregation of parents at the top and the bottom chit-chatting and fellowshipping while the kids are
Mhm.
completely uh, taken with stand upstairs in line, and they go down the slide and then they run back up the stairs and do it again, and it's like a little, I don't know, it takes pressure off parents some if they're standing there chit-chatting.
Well, when we were kids,
So,
we just ran around the sanctuary and Army crawled under the pews and then had old men literally like step on our back to let us know that we were out of line.
You're
Like,
sinning.
do people get do old men reprimand kids for riding a slide or not? Because that's an essential part of church.
oh,
You know.
so by having the
You know.
slide, you're actually missing out on a key point of
Yeah.
Christianity.
Well, we have the
Right. Old
old
men
lady.
reprimanding you for doing things. Yeah.
We have the old lady yell at the kids for getting on the elevator.
Yeah, we have an
Mm.
elevator and they yell at them for doing that. Yep. And then every once in a while,
As long
somebody will decide to be the slide monitor and stand up there and stop them from going down 6 at a time.
every once in a while,
Yeah.
but not very often.
Depends on
When
if
I
that
was
family came to
So,
church or not.
the church I grew up in, when I was a kid, we had a outdoor playground, so we just went out there and played.
yeah, and that's the thing. Like, that's where I go, even with my own view. Like, what I was showing Jimmy while you were gone, Darcy, was if this is like all for it, this is don't care, and this is totally against it, I'm only like here on things like the slide. You know what I mean? Like, but
But where on the basketball goal?
I'm like,
Same.
don't care. I don't I don't care on the basketball goal. Um, I know I'm probably like on a gym because you use it for more than just like it has multi-purpose. But but honestly, like I it's one of those things like I probably have to go like I have my tinge of like feeling about it but don't care because like you
Mm-hmm.
said, do I care that there's an outdoor playground at a church? No, not at all. Like that doesn't seem like a gimmick at all. That just seems like you're saying like, dude, get the kids out of the sanctuary and get them doing something else. So
As long as whatever is in the church is getting the kids out of the church, you're kind of.
yeah, kids shouldn't be in church. Absolutely not. Whoever thought kids should be in church? I think it probably like, man, I don't know. The only reason I'm talking about it is because we started the conversation with it's something that I think that most people would agree is not appropriate for church or a men's conference, which is a stripper pole with a knife swallower stripping off his clothes and doing his routine.
Mm-hmm.
But like there's probably some version of a routine by a dude that also swallows knives that wouldn't be considered completely inappropriate. But
It's a
I
slippery
still would
slide.
argue it's a slippery slide. Yeah. I still would argue that there's nothing sacred anymore. Like literally nothing sacred anymore. And there's something disturbing about that a little bit.
Hmm. But should we assign sacredity? What's the word for that?
Sacrimony.
What is the word?
Sacrimony.
Sacredness?
Sacrimony. Nobody can hear me, can they?
Sacrimony. Should
Yeah.
we assign sacrimony to a building? Like, is that what it takes?
Hmm.
I purposefully do not call our auditorium the sanctuary, because I don't think that I don't think that is what it is. I don't think that sanctuary is a block building.
I call it the
I think
gymnasium.
that it can be, but I think it takes more.
Yeah. I agree with you, and on kind of a side note, I have thought, like I talked to a guy who was is it Seventh-day Adventists that meet on Saturdays?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I suggested that perhaps there could be a lot of resources saved if a Seventh-day Adventist church like teamed up with a Christian church or a Baptist
Sunday
church or something, a Sunday church. And the idea seemed to him sacrilegious. That, and I realized that like they take that sacredness of their building, the idea that their building could be used by someone who was not Seventh-day Adventist very seriously. Like, it was a hard no, that would never ever happen.
Right.
And I don't know, like I think that there's I think I don't have an answer. But I do think that there's so little I don't think it's about the building. I would agree on that. I don't think it's about the building. And I'm always the person who tries to take.
So there should be no slides in any buildings.
Well, no. Let's take the slide example. Let's use the slide.
Sorry.
I mean, the fact that yours is a slip and slide and people are only allowed to wear two-piece bikinis, man or woman, that troubles me.
Yeah.
But other than that, like that everybody has to oil up, like that bugs me. Like if it was just a slide, like a regular slide that you just, slid down in your Sunday clothes, like that'd be different.
Okay.
Oh, what you say? It is just a regular
slide? That'd be more sacred.
Oh, yeah, it'd be more sacred. No, like take it to the ultimate extreme. Let's say that you were in a very harsh climate where, in Alaska, where the vast majority of the time you're not spending any time outdoors, and everything that we have outside, you had inside. Who's gonna shouldn't be anybody having any opinion about that, right? Like I would say, like you just move everything that you do outdoors indoors because it's just a fact of life in that climate. So like, I guess that part of it doesn't I don't know. I don't have a good answer.
Okay.
I do question like the American church, just as a whole, how the American church spends the resources, and whether what we win people with is the gospel, or whether we win people with a lot of gimmicks that aren't really the thing we're trying to win them to, but we think that at some point they will be won to the thing we're trying to win them to, even though we kind of went out of our way to do something different. Does that make sense? As a principle, not as a specific, like, this is wrong, that is right type of idea.
Okay. I think that I would agree with you then, but I also then think that you can't necessarily look at a facility or an amenity and judge immediately whether it is gimmicky then.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's true. I don't think that you can judge it outside of a context. Is that what you mean?
Yeah. Like if it ultimately depends on the culture of the church and where their values lie, then I think that makes a difference.
Oddly, I was having a conversation with Jamie today, and I said this to him that has something to do with that, maybe. They were reading in Corinthians, and they were reading about head coverings, and they're young, new Christians. So they're reading about head coverings, and they're like, well, what are we supposed to do with this concept? And I said to him, not that I am a Bible scholar, not that I'm like an authority on the subject of head coverings, but it seemed to me that Paul was very consistently talking to people more about what their motivation for doing something was than the thing that they were doing. And like whenever he says to one church, you guys need to stop speaking in tongues and you need to start having an interpreter and you need to do XYZ. And the reason that you need to do these things is so that when outsiders come in, the service and what you're doing makes sense to outsiders coming in. You know what the passage is? I don't know if I can remember what passage it is. But basically he says, you guys need to clean up your worship service because outsiders are confused and disturbed by what you guys are doing. And essentially he seems to be telling them, you guys are speaking in tongues because it makes you look good, and it would be better if you spoke words of wisdom and teaching that edify rather than like bolstering yourselves with this kind of questionable activity. Would you concur with that? That he was talking about not you shouldn't speak in tongues to them. He was saying you shouldn't do it with all of these people around because it doesn't help them in any way.
Yeah.
And therefore it seems like he was more concerned about their motivation for why they were doing what they were doing than the actual thing that they were doing.
I'm looking up 1 Corinthians 11.
Okay.
Uh,
Jimmy, did you hear anything that I said?
I
Or is
got
this all just
some of it.
mumbles?
I was talking about head coverings and that. I don't know a lot about it, but I do know there are some people at our church that the women wear head coverings, and I think that's pretty weird.
But you've never looked into it? Like why they do it?
I don't know why they
because of
do it.
this verse, because of 1 Corinthians 11.
I mean, I think they're stupid, but that's just me. They probably think I'm stupid.
I almost always see you with the head covering, Jimmy.
I
And
always have a head
1
covering. I'm
Corinthians
trying
11.
to follow the scripture.
And like 1 Corinthians 11 says that you shouldn't pray with your head covered.
Yeah. I don't ever pray, so it's not a problem.
Well, as soon as you look it up, Darcy, I'm going to have to jump off because I do have to write this thing tonight.
Oh yeah, and you said you had to be in bed by midnight, which is you got 31 minutes.
I have 31 minutes.
What are you writing?
Yeah. I have to, for my group, I have to write my numbers and kind of give a rundown on my week, basically. It doesn't take very long. It's just that I get a strike if I don't get it done. That's one of the rules. So, yeah. I don't love that aspect of it. Not that I'm getting into talking about that too much, but it does keep you like a little bit on your toes about getting your reporting done and your numbers in. Otherwise, there's no like motivation to keep reporting your stuff to your team.
Right.
So, yeah. Okay, what do you got, Darcy?
All right. So on covering the head in worship. Yeah, so this is 1 Corinthians 11. And initially it starts out talking about tradition. And then, so verse 3, he says, "But I want you to realize that the head of every man is Christ, and the head of the woman is man, and the head of Christ is God. Every man who prays or prophesies with his head covered dishonors his head, but every woman who prays or prophesies with her head uncovered dishonors her head. It is the same as having her head shaved. For if a woman does not cover her head, she might as well have her hair cut off. But if it's a disgrace for a woman to have her hair cut off or her head shaved, then she should cover her head. A man ought not to cover his head, since he is the image and glory of God, but woman is the glory of man. For man did not come from woman, but woman from man. Neither was man created for woman, but woman for man. It is for this reason that a woman ought to have authority over her own head, because of the angels. Nevertheless, in the Lord, woman is not independent of man, nor is man independent of woman. For as woman came from man, so also man is born of woman, but everything comes from God. Judge for yourselves. Is it proper for a woman to pray to God with her head uncovered? Does not the very nature of things teach you that if a man has long hair, it is a disgrace to him, but that if a woman has long hair, it is her glory? For long hair is given to her as a covering. If anyone wants to be contentious about this, we have no other practice, nor do the churches of God.
I heard judge for yourselves.
I don't think he's talking about head coverings.
It also, I heard something about the hair is the head covering.
I kind of think he's trying to make a point, and I think that this church was arguing about head coverings.
Hmm.
And at the end of the passage, he says, figure it out. And then he says, does not the very nature of things teach you that if a man has long hair, it is a disgrace to him? What nature is that teaches us that a male should not have long hair?
I don't know exactly.
Because in general,
Um,
in nature, the male is the more highly adorned creature, isn't it?
I mean, the only time that you could say like long hair in, like, even if you just stuck with the Bible, the only time you could think of like long hair being a problem for a guy was old Samson, who lost all of his power when he cut his hair.
Well, long hair
Because
for
the vow
him
of the
was part of a covenant.
right, it was the vow, like it was the vow of the Nazarite to not cut his hair, and that was where. And you know what the funny thing about that story, oddly, is that it never actually says that his long hair was the source of his power. He kind of decided that that was the source of his power.
Yeah.
He decided that the source of his power was his long hair, and he sort of gave up his power when his hair was not long. But anyway, so there's that. But then the opposite story would be, man, what was it? David's son, Absalom, who had long hair.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of got in his way whenever he's trying to have a battle, and he, basically hung himself by his hair because he had so much long hair. So the only two stories would seem to give credence to the opposite viewpoint, like one for one, like one over here and one over here.
So,
and Adam had short hair. I mean, he was a German short hair.
Was he?
Yeah, he was the perfect.
He was the perfect man, so he was looked like
he
German.
was a German short hair.
He was blonde, blue-eyed.
Oh my. All right, Dan. You're out of line, Dan.
You're out of line, Dan.
God created him with an SS tattoo on his back.
That's gonna be our new. That's gonna be the new thing. You're on the line.
Okay, so.
Oh man.
Sure. So I've read this before, but I've never really thought about it. But now that I'm reading it and thinking about it, I think that it is incredibly likely that Paul is making a point here, and he's saying, and he's kind of being, he's almost being sarcastic, and he goes in through all of this stuff that is a little bit mixed up, and then comes to the bottom and says, if you guys want to be contentious about this, I don't know that we need to move forward.
And I would say that some scholars say at the end of it, whenever he says we have no such custom, he's saying like there's not a rule across the board about this.
Yeah.
There's no custom among all the churches that dictates that this is right and that is wrong. And others contend that he's saying that we have no other custom than women having head coverings. So like two people read it and they come up with exactly the opposite reading of it.
Yeah.
So I think I'll
Well, I
tell
don't
those
know
people.
if
But-
you ever, I don't
Do
know
what?
if you ever tune in to the old Antioch Bible Baptist Church on a Sunday morning when I'm on the platform leading, but I often wear a hat.
Do you prophesy?
And dishonor my head.
Do you prophesy?
Yeah. Well, it depends on
My
what songs.
genes-
And you
Dishonor.
pray?
Huh?
Do
I
you?
pray?
Are you allowed to pray with your hat on?
I'm gonna have to start paying attention to that. whether Clint asks me to pray after a song based on whether I
If you
am
have
wearing
your
a
hat
hat
on.
or not. I don't know.
Yeah, you're gonna have to watch that.
Yeah,
I'm curious now.
so am I. All right, Dan, you got 21 minutes to get that there report writ and get in bed.
I got
And
21 minutes.
An hour
All right.
and 36-minute podcast
And-
here. So
And you've got an hour and 36-minute edit coming up.
yeah,
All right.
not tonight.
So who's signing us off?
You.
Nobody can hear me.
Oh, you can on the recording. We just can't.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I need to learn American Sign Language.
Yes. Wait. First off, are you going to Jimmy's gig in a week and a half? 2 weeks.
You said it's on a night
Week
north,
and a
and
half.
it's north of you. That was your. It's in a week and a half. It's in the evening, and it's north of you. That's how many
Yes.
details I have.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
For our viewer who watched the whole time to hear when the gig was and where, Jimmy, when is it and where?
Oh yeah. Jimmy might actually know.
It's on a text, but it's
You don't have the pamphlet? Isn't there a flyer?
I don't have a flyer, but it's in
There is
Kearney.
one though, right?
It's at not that I know of.
Oh, okay.
It's in Kearney. It's at a barn. There's gonna be a hog roast, so there's gonna be food there. There's no fee to get in, but they will likely be passing a bucket to throw money in. And it's on a Saturday night.
The
I don't-
27th, right? Is that or
That sounds right. It's like 2 Saturdays away.
okay? So we'll
Let's
have more
say
details for everybody next week.
There you go.
maybe. Okay.
Yes.
Dan, you gonna come?
It's a definite maybe.
Okay.
A definite maybe. You're 100% sure you're maybe gonna make it?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yep.
Good.
All right. Signing off.
All right.
Not Your Average Guys podcast. I just signed us off.
I think
Oh,
Not
good.
Your Average Guys podcast signing off.
Oh, we got to fix this problem with your
my
connection.
goodness.
Over there.